Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good
Good,
morning.
and also very good morning today from rainy and cloudy Cologne in Germany, where I am. I think this is the signal that the summer is really coming to an end, and the famous rentre is now with us. Don't you feel like that, Liora?
Absolutely. Weather alarms in Brussels and the Netherlands. So, yeah, but that's good because school has started. And if the weather's too good, we don't want to go back to work, back to school. So, yeah, we're ready for it. I like the rain. Good for the garden.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I always say that that's the good thing about this part of Europe, right? It's for the it's the where the most productive one can be, right? But also you have to mix it up with a little of mountain or sunshine or whatnot. But the truth is that now we are here, we are almost back. I feel that the city, that Brussels is 80% there. Many people are back. Maybe this is a week where many organizations and individuals they are catching up, looking ahead at the major events that they have, conferences. If they are tracking legislative files, then it's going to be a very, very intense quarter with the negotiations around the EU budget, which I think is dominating the most of the conversations, but also the things like migration and AI and many many other topics. But today, perhaps our little contribution to the conversation could be to catch everyone up on what has happened over the summer. Let's be generous with the summer. Let's also look at everything that changed probably in June when everyone was working, but actually so focused that couldn't pay attention to everything else. Let's look at the changes in the algorithm, in the LinkedIn algorithm. Let's talk about the changing on AI and the new obligations that came into force in the middle of the summer. And of course, or we will jump on any topic that our audience is willing to throw at us by commenting on this post, and together with all this together we will have I'm pretty sure a very nice conversation for a Friday. Let's say hi to our beloved and most loyal supporter, Luis, who is joining us from Brazil. Hello, good morning. And if you are joining us from any other city, please drop it. It's always nice to know who is on the other side of the screen. So, Liora, tell us what's been new in the LinkedIn AI visibility space.
Yeah, I get most questions these days about GDPR again in a new format. And it's like, how can we use our LLM of choice and still be GDPR compliant? Putting it into all the workshops now. So if you want, we can touch on that. LinkedIn, people are still worried about it. A question I get a lot is, okay, you want me to be specific, you want me to focus on one thing, but I have so much experience. People in Brussels are very broad. How do I tackle that? So we can also start with that. Which one would you like to start with, Sebastian?
I would say very quickly on the GDPR one, because that's actually, funnily enough, something that I'm working on this week. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I am forming the opinion, my opinion, and of course I'm not a legal expert. I would always refer people to a legal expert. But what I would always say is the same rules apply. You need to inform people of which tools you are using for which purpose. If these tools are outside of the EU, you must disclose that, and then, but it doesn't prevent you from using AI. Is that probably this more nuanced? But what have you uncovered on this conversation about GDPR?
Yeah, so because it's such a new territory, I've just been using it for pretty much everything, right? And so on the one hand, you have the whole cookie business, and people have been optimizing their websites or not. But then, and then all of a sudden they've been using AI for pretty much everything. So this is now the time where people are realizing that has not been the way. My personal view is, if you really want to do things the right way, you should build your own proprietary large language model. That's kind of, on your own server. You can do whatever you want with it, and you have but of course you're always going to be a step behind the large language models. But then you can still use those for everything else. But you can use your own model for the things that you really need data for, like client data. So I think that is something that I've been saying from the beginning. It's the safest. It's your own version. There are different ways you can go about that. Now, that's not going to be realistic for most people, and it's time consuming. I appreciate that. So then I still think, even regardless of the system you use, but there's still, let's just talk about practicality. So if you use Copilot in a protected environment, you're still going to be safer. Let's not talk about the implications and if it's by law, but your data is still going to be safer than if you use even a paid version of a ChatGPT. So the smartest way, and again, as you say, check with your lawyer, is to privatize the information that you put in, and to separate the real data, like transcripts, from the research that you're doing. Now, that makes it a little bit more complicated, but and as you say, the most important thing is, if you're working on someone specific, that you talk to them about this. So the DNA keys, now we do a part where we check their DNA with what's visible about those people online. I've now just decided with my team that I'm going to check with the person, do you want us to do that? If you prefer us to do it manually, it is a lot more work. So we can do that, but the cost will also increase significantly. So I want to now give my clients the choice of how we're going to do those things, but we need to be very transparent about how the research is being done. And so I think transparency, as you say, and but it's something that we will continue to figure out. But I think policy on that front is quite important. I believe in policy on that front much more than in policy about LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn, I think if you enable your employees to write freely, and you say quite the opposite of saying, here's a message out, this is what I want you to write about, or I don't want you to write at all because you should only retweet or repost the company page, that I think is a very poor strategy. I think for LinkedIn, you should put in your employees KPIs. I actually would like you to post, if you increase your follower count, then I'm going to give you bonuses. Like I think you should support it, and they should do it whatever way they see fit. And I think you'll see amazing results. So that's what I see with my clients. Whereas with GDPR, probably you need to think about it and put some real rules in place.
In the end, I remember GDPR also came. I remember when it came into force, but more importantly, when I had to implement it in a large pan-European campaign with the European Parliament. And always the thing with GDPR is that there's a great misunderstanding about what GDPR is. And of course, it depends in the country that you are, because it's different. Yeah. Spain is stricter on GDPR than Germany, you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And then when we were doing political campaigns, they will always say, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And actually, you can. You can do a lot of things. What you need to do is to inform the linkage with the US, service in the US, and the fact that the EU recognizes the US as an equal place where data is stored and safely, etc. It's always up there, but the reality is most Silicon Valley is still in San Francisco. So the reality is that we can use these tools, but you need to always inform and also look at the processes. Do you need to use AI for a particular process? Is it mandatory? Is it optional? So it also goes back to what we love, we consultants love, which is defining processes. I think this is an organization needs to have a very, very plain idea of what they do and why they do it, and then in which step they need to use it. It is desirable, it is not, etc.
What I quite like about it, and it goes beyond just data, private data, personal data, is that I think it's quite good for consultants and agencies to clarify what part of their work is assisted by large language models, because I think there's a lot of worry from clients at the moment. Okay, I'm paying you, but are you really just outsourcing your work to an LLM, to an AI system? And I think if you can clarify, look, we're using, for example, for AI visibility, we're using a tool that shows you where you show up, and I cannot do this myself. It's impossible because you cannot do that in that quantity, right? So for these specific things, we're using AI. For this, it's especially when it's large quantity of things. And so I think if we as service providers, or whatever you want to call us, consultancies, individuals, can clarify this to clients, I think it will make them feel much more in control, much better. And I think what do you think? I think that's a way to move forward. And by the way, let's just say hi to Kushi, to Allison, who's in Frankfurt. Then we'll hear a couple of people who show up as LinkedIn users from London. Thank you for watching, guys. We're happy to have you with us.
Yeah, there you go. And this is an excellent point, which I also had in mind. I wanted to post about it, and perhaps this is the best, a good forum to validate this idea, because I've been hearing over the summer, as many of the contracts are renegotiated, maybe in September and October, it comes the point where very tough conversations happen between the consulting companies, the clients. They check what's been done, etc. And I keep hearing that, especially going from big consulting firms, because that's not because I have anything against them. I work for them. They're incredible places for innovation and for transformation. But it is true that they then require the largest budgets to work with them. And I keep hearing that these conversations about, I am paying all this money, and then what I get for a logo, or then what I get for a visual, or even the speaking points, it's clearly AI generated output. I'm not saying without a value, but definitely something that could have been done with the same budget but doing more things on that budget, or it could have been done by the team subscribing to a 20, 30 euros a month frontier AI model. And I think this is important it's an important moment for the consulting industry. I think the AI is going to benefit smaller organizations and smaller consulting firms and individuals who are using AI transparently, just like you said, and more efficiently, and at a fraction of the cost, because it is true that it saves a lot of time. But also, if you are charging, for something based on the number of hours of a certain level professional, then I think you need to adjust the price. Then we have also people, I don't know what you think, Liora, that tell me, look, a client doesn't want to know how the sausage is made, as long as we agree on KPIs and those are met, and then the money allocated, it meets, it's respected. Overall, clients don't really go into the kitchen of consulting companies. But I don't know, I find this more and more hard to believe. What do you think?
I mean, it's true that some clients are very busy and they are not interested exactly but I do think that we've come to a stage where it's, for me, I have a team. So, it's a team, it's AI, but for most things, I or someone else who's quite senior still spends a lot of time reviewing whoever started working on it first, right? So it's important that I explain to a client, if they're interested, that we have a brief first. We have a whole procedure. We have a brief first. We have a whole flow of things, and so the longer, let's say that we do a whole research report or a whole DNA key, which can be 50 pages long, that takes probably a week of my time to go through that, to optimize that, to reflect back on it, to say, oh, now I want a different visual for it, or I want a different creative on it. So it doesn't necessarily make it faster that a first draft was created by somebody else, be it an AI or someone in my team, So, and I'm very happy to explain how we work, from briefings to, because none of that has essentially changed because of AI. And I think that the reason that the more senior and the more experienced you are, the better your outputs are in your field in AI, precisely because of this experience, because you are so capable of seeing what's good, what's not, how to optimize, with your team. Or that's also why you're able to get the best output from team members, right? So I mean, it's true that some people are just like, okay, just give me the best result and don't bother me with your processes, and then don't, like. Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely going to be a conversation this September as budgets and contracts are renegotiated, and just putting out there. Do consider training your own people, and like even you say, like building the capability in an organization to be able to store or to host your own LLM locally is not only cheaper, is not only more compliant, but also it stays within your organization, and management will be overall happy that you are internalizing and spending the same money. Like again, we don't want to throw rocks at our own roof. I think consulting is what I am a consultant. It's the only thing that I've done throughout my career. I love serving people. Like to me, the client, I am a servant of the client, and I want the client to succeed. And more specifically, I want the person that I am helping within an organization. I want that person to shine. I want that person to claim a lot of successes, so that that person keeps bringing me on board. But also that comes with the conversation about, hey, I think I found a way to be more efficient without compromising quality. What about we do this number of other things extra in the same budget? Or even saying, hey, I am trying to find ways to be more efficient. I want to warn you that you are probably going to notice something different, but it's me. I am trying to do something different, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and building this thing. And then this conversation with the client, I think, is very important. The worst is that the client finds out that you've been doing things, and in the worst moment, it shows, and it's a very awkward conversation to have with a client.
Absolutely. I love that. That's so good. Luis has a couple of points. Let's see if we can go through him. AI on LinkedIn, friend or threat, the post format that dies first, authenticity or reach, the thing everyone will regret automating. Okay, that's a lot. Let's start with one. AI on LinkedIn, friend or threat? Threat? I think we can be clear on that. Like, I don't think it depends. Like, if you use AI to come up with what I like doing with AI, and I think we spoke about this before, is that you download all your data. Part of it you have to do manually. So I have an Excel sheet also for the clients, in which we put in because you can get part of it from LinkedIn, but most of it you cannot. So you put in how many likes, how many saves, how many shares, how many, all the data. Once you have all that data, you can upload that to your LLM of choice, and you can you can ask it, and you can also download other data from LinkedIn, and you ask it, okay, give me all your insights. What works best for me? What should I avoid? And that I really like doing with LLMs, just asking it for, I have actually my own analysis done by, I think, Perplexity or ChatGPT, don't remember. And it had very surprising insights. For example, I'll give one away. I always post around 9:45 in the morning, but it said that all the 8 times that I posted before 9 were my best performing posts in terms of engagement. So that's what that LLM found. Also a day that was surprising to me. So all those things are much easier if you have a large quantity of data. That's something you can do with an AI. What I say threat, or something that I would avoid, is one thing you should absolutely avoid is comments based with AI. Actually, they're being blocked, or they're being, LinkedIn actively dislikes them and downvotes them. And of course, we now have the AI slop button on LinkedIn, so people can say this is AI slop. I'm still a little bit worried that people use this for political reasons, or for if they don't like you or your post, they were just going to use that button. So we need to see how it develops. But there is also a reason that they might actually use it for real AI sounding posts, whatever that may be, with the quietlies or and honestly, or all those types of phrases, or the power of threes. There are all these specific things that AI likes to do. Also, people do them because that's how they were created in the first place.
The European Commission has been doing we need a more stronger, more resilient, more social Europe. This has been on the European
It's based on that type of jargon, and which I've, for the record, been fighting on LinkedIn for decades. So, and that's because it's a jargon based, like that's why I actually quite like that people are now collectively hating on it, because it's the cringy type of lingo that nobody loves. So just be human. That doesn't mean put typos in your post, but just like try to speak like you would speak to another person. A couple of words, by the way, that I really hate seeing. It's like models. AIs call AI models. They never call it AI. Another thing is the room. They say, are you constantly the room? Like, are you the smartest person? Everything is the room. AIs put the word room into every post around 5 times. So whenever I read something about rooms, I'm like, okay. I quietly know that you've not been writing this in your own room, guys. So don't use that. But anyway, so don't use it for. But of course, like if you're not a native speaker, you want it to be translated, but then still read through it and still remove all those words that just are so cringy. The post format that dies first. That's a good question. I do think video, and I've been saying it for a year. LinkedIn is pushing it very hard. At first, we only saw videos performing well that were pushed by LinkedIn, but now I see actual persons, like people like us, not promoted by LinkedIn, and I see their videos more and more. So if you have a good face, no, I'm just kidding. If you're comfortable on LinkedIn, on video, and you like speaking, try video. Just very, like I don't have my phone here. It's actually just a cover, but just put it like this, and do a selfie video, something very non-scripted, easygoing. I think that's going to come up and it's going to perform better. What is going to die first? This keeps changing. I think what you should avoid is one format, unless you see that working like crazy for you because you become known for it. There's a really nice Henneke. I forget her last name. I'm sorry, Henneke. But like, there's a really good artist who does drawings with every post. Now, then she stands out. Apart from that, do a little bit of video, do a carousel, and see, because people every person is different, and I might like this. Sebastian might like something else. So if you post a little bit of everything, that's the highest chance of success, in my opinion. And then you can analyze what works best for you, and also what works best for which purpose on which day, right? And what do you go for, authenticity or reach? I don't understand really this.
It's not one or the other, right?
Yes.
I think that's what's probably Luis is also looking for. Like, I think maybe what he means is that I think because you are authentic, you get reach. But
that's absolutely.
I think it is also true that there is a lot of inauthentic people or inauthentic content getting a lot of reach, but it's not sustainable, because at the end, you may see, and you will see that post maybe once, but I don't think you will see that person a second time, right? Because you won't follow that person, and probably for you it has reached you, but it has lost credibility. So
I mean, the question is also, if you do very great posts, and they sound great, they might sound very authentic, but then you meet the person and there's a complete mismatch. Because the goal is still, in most cases, business, or to get a speaking opportunity or a job. So that's real life interaction. So if that's not authentic, what you've been writing, because you've just been outsourcing it to someone or to something, an AI that you've trained really well, and you might have got to, I know someone who writes about HR, and what he writes gets enormous amounts of traction because everybody likes these HR types of
Yeah.
topics, being at the work floor and horrible bosses. But I know the person; and he's not a nice person at all.
Yeah.
So in real life, that's not going to work. You see him, and you're like, "Wait, you wrote all these
Yeah.
posts about being a good manager, but you're a horrible person." Like so.
Yeah.
So okay, so then you have good traction, but then you're not going to be a good speaker. You're not going to, and very often when I meet people in real life, they tell me, "Oh wow, you're just like your post." Well, yeah,
Uh-huh.
because I
Yeah.
wrote my posts, guys. Nobody else writes them for me. I write my own posts, so it's the same voice. So
Mhm.
authenticity 100 times over, and just write from the heart, and of course optimize a little bit, change the first couple of lines. There are now 4 or 5 lines that people see at first glance. It's not just a two like before. So make them a little bit exciting and keep people guessing, and optimize a little bit. Don't if you're very like some people just talk, and you're like, where was the message? Okay, so
Mhm.
optimize it a little bit for LinkedIn, but it
Mhm.
still should still sound like you. And if you find that hard, record yourself and
Mhm.
find the words that you, and maybe ask, hey, that's a good purpose for
Mhm.
AI. Ask AI, what are the words that I use a lot?
Yeah.
Can you create a voice guideline based on the words that I use a lot, the phrases that I use a lot, and
Yeah.
then make sure to use those words, or
Mhm.
just record your LinkedIn message and then ask AI to turn that into a
Mhm.
LinkedIn post, but using your words,
Yeah.
your terminology, your phrases. Just tighten it
Mhm.
up a little bit and avoid AI language, of
Yeah.
course.
And also not every post has to have a very witty conclusion and very catchy
Oh,
conclusion. Like it just doesn't. You can just state something, say what you think, and that's it. And I think AI loves to conclude in a semi-witty way. I don't find it witty at all. So
that's
no
such a
need.
good point. That's a very good point. AI repeats and repeats, and it over explains, and that's very annoying. It's just like you would say the thing probably in 4 sentences, and they that just repeat. So if you use AI for, for example, to change your voice message into a post, tell it, it's probably remove again half of the post afterwards
Mhm.
because it's just going to be too long and too repetitive and too boring, and end with something funny, like a PS that says, I don't know, make a joke, so something
Mhm.
only you would say.
I like
Yeah.
I like your PS also, like because you never know. Like, hey, by the way, I'm Liora. Like, I do this, and because you never know, you can never assume that 100% of the people who read your. I mean, actually, it's impossible that 100% of the people who come across your post will know who you are, and I think that's like a nice, also like a nice touch. I really like the way you do it.
Thank you.
If I can come back very quickly before we get to the thing everyone will regret automating, which I will answer quickly, which is the DMs, direct messages, and for sales. And I know you had a fun exchange, but if you want to hear about that, just stick around for a few more minutes. But I wanted to also say that I started following the CMO of CTO of LinkedIn, the Chief Technology Officer, and he's been putting a lot of content out there about this AI slop notification.
Ah,
And yeah, and so
why did you
apparently,
shoot last time?
yeah. So then after that time, then he posted how they are thinking about using this AI slop button. And apparently, what's going to happen is that you as a user, you are going to be alerted when a post has been flagged by your community for being an AI slop. So you will get a notification say, hey, the community has flagged this just for your own information. And I asked him, and he answered me. I asked, but will you punish those type of posts? And they say they are not thinking to do this right now, that their idea is to always help their user, right,
Huh.
understand, hey, maybe, but that they are also open to every single option in the future to protect the integrity of the platform, so that the platform doesn't become that type of a space. So what I think is, first phase is not going to punish. You will get that. You will get that notification, but probably they are not ruling out actually being smarter and better at identifying true positives and going after those accounts, but they are fully aware that there will be false positives, right?
Yeah.
They don't want that to be a problem that makes people who are paying LinkedIn, who are spending a lot of time here, to switch to another platform, right?
That's very good. I like that. And I do think that I've seen less AI generated, or, very clearly AI formulated posts since this feature has been released. I'm very rarely on it, but I'm also a moderator on X. So I can see when posts are being submitted for, when someone says, okay, this is not true, this is false, and it's very interesting to see what. And I actually quite like that system, because it's by a large community where people say, okay, what this person has posted is false, and this is the reason. And it has to, if you want to correct a post, it has to adhere to a lot of things. You have to have sources that are considered credible, etc. And then when voting, then the community has to vote if that appears underneath a post. So and then we get to vote, and have to vote on 8 criteria, I think. So does it have credible sources? Was it formulated in a neutral way? La, la, la. And I quite like, I think it's better than just something like AI slop, because it's a bit, what does that mean really? It's just a format. It's quite a good system. I'm just rarely on X, so I don't do it very often, but it's could be something to be considered as well.
Yeah, they were very polemic when they were launched this community, but I think it was more because of the context and the messenger than the system itself. I think the system does have some merits.
Yeah.
And actually it is way better than a central algorithm or a central team located, God knows where, suppressing and canceling certain posts. I think.
And what's nice about it is that you have people from all sorts of backgrounds moderating. So from the left, from the right, I do think, and neutral people as well. I do think most likely you're going to be opinionated in some way, or else you wouldn't do it, right? So there are fewer just neutral people, but you have people from both sides, or from all sides. So in that sense, it evens each other out.
Yeah.
So I do think there's something interesting in that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
so
the last one, tell me about the DMs and this thing that we are all experiencing in our DMs, all these random messages that don't even get our name right. No, tell us a little bit what happened.
Yeah. So first of all, I get a lot of messages. So what they do, there's this algorithm that looks at your recommendations. And so people that have recommended you, they pick the last one, and then they say, oh, I saw the glowing recommendation Anna left about your social media skills, and I blah, blah, blah. And it's always the exact same post. I receive them daily, the exact same message. And then they say, what if you could monetize blah, blah, blah. And, straight into spam, of course. I also very often get people to try and offer me the exact service that I provide to my clients, which means they never even bothered, because it's automated, obviously, to go to my profile and check out what I do, right? And because I have 2 companies, Babida and the Think Room, I always get approached about Babida, but that's not what I put forward. So that already tells me, okay, you've never bothered to look at our activity. And the messages are just super weird. As you say, it's very, they're very relentless, aggressive. And And I believe good LinkedIn sales strategy is that you build a relationship on LinkedIn, you interact with the person's post. It doesn't even have to be that long. It can be 1 month of liking, a little bit of engagement. And then when you reach out or you follow the person or you ask for a meeting, they're very likely to give it to you. But just, spamming without even ever having visited the person is just very bad LinkedIn etiquette. It's just not done. And I don't think anyone will accept your request. I am even more likely, and someone did that recently and it worked quite well, when someone asks for my advice and say, look, I am trying to sell on LinkedIn, but I'm not managing. Can you help me optimize my LinkedIn profile? Because I want to help people. So if people ask for my advice, and then they say, okay, and by the way, would you be interested in buying what I'm selling? I'm more interested in that approach, first asking for my advice, then going to you're doing a horrible job. Can you? I'm like, but what? No, like stop. So yeah, you have to really know your audience. And the only way to know your audience is to go and visit their profile. Yes, it is more time consuming, but you're building relationships. And that's what I believe LinkedIn should be for.
Yeah, maybe AI can help you suggest, and I have this every morning. I have like a list of tasks that are done whilst I'm having my coffee, and then I say those are 5 profiles that you can check today, or those are 5 organizations that you can check today, or 3, right? And then you use AI to recommend you organizations, people, but then you do spend the time, and most of the times, even the people that they are suggesting, they are not interested. So there is no replacing the actual the capital that you build researching someone, seeing if that's the type of person that you would collaborate, work with, establishing that relation. That is something that is irreplaceable in my view.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are talking about or asking me about Sales Navigator. I personally wouldn't recommend it. It's very expensive. It shows you lots of posts. And again, there are other tools that you can use to do that. I would much rather get a Perplexity subscription and have that run really detailed reports for you than Sales Navigator, which I personally have tried and I don't see the advantage of. What do you think about that? Have you tried Sales Navigator?
No. I like to me because I'm not targeting a mass public. I think it doesn't make any sense. I think the people that we are gonna potentially work with during 1 year in Brussels are probably 100, less than 100, right? And I know probably 50 of them. So to me, it's trying to reach to more people is tainting my name, because when I will actually talk to those people and then they check our conversation on LinkedIn, they will see that I was the one spamming them. So no, I would say, I know I need to have like around just throwing this number, like 100 clients. If you organize yourself, you can reach them in the first month. You can know who they are, and then you start following them, and having actual meaningful conversations with those people. And that it's something that the Sales Navigator, I don't think it gives me any value. I like ads. I know you and I disagree on advertising. I do advertising. Like, I am setting up a few campaigns now. I do advertising. It has shown me that it works less on LinkedIn than on other platforms.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. So do you do ads on LinkedIn? And if so, do you do them from your company page or your private page?
So from the company page, I actually don't know if you can do them from your individual profile.
They changed something so that some profiles can do them, or you can push a profile from the company page. So you can push your profile from the company page. But the reason I'm asking is that it's not that I don't think that ads can work. What happens is, as soon as you do ads, your normal posts are going to perform much worse because they want you to keep doing ads.
Yeah.
So, because that's what they want. They want companies or organizations to pay. And so How is your performance on the company page when you're not doing ads, is my question.
It's not great overall. I think we talk about this, about how to use those, the combination of the individual and the company profile. The company profile is usually like more wordy. I always have things pinned at the top, especially like workshops or events that I have. And I have the newsletter, which are like, again, like very wordy for the reasons we also discussed about LLMs picking this up, and so the performance. My objective with the page is not so much performance. My objective is more also followers. I think for a community of the nature that the European Campaign Playbook is, I'm very happy, but I want to grow that because people, I think, associate inevitably number of followers with credibility, with trust, and that's why I love the ads, because it allows you to play a lot with the format carousel, right? So you can share something and then say, hey, download the full carousel, the full report, and now those emails you can put them in your funnel, and then you can say, in a very, again, non-spammy way. Like, I also try not to spam people a lot, but then, if you say download, download this, then I will almost like immediately will send an email to you, say, hey, this is an automated email because you downloaded this, and I want to invite you to the next info session. If you reply yes to this email, I'll book it on your calendar automatically. And so this is a way that to me has worked, because the work of sending people the email, sending to the calendar, you get the wrong day, there are like a lot of issues. Those part I have, I am able to do it, and usually people follow you. If they don't click on it, they follow you. So overall, it's a good experience. Although it's very expensive. Like per lead, you pay between 12 and 20 euros per lead, which is a lot. It's a lot. On Instagram, that figure is 3 to 5 maybe euros. But of course, is someone on Instagram willing to move across platforms? I don't know. I wanna take a look at it. But I think when people are on Instagram, they have a mindset, they have a mentality, and when I have done it in the past, it hasn't worked. But maybe because I could have done it better. So I'm always trying to see the linkage. But yeah, 20 euros. It's an expensive lead. That maybe will turn into, when I say a lead, I don't say like an end customer. So you gotta work hard to really offer something valuable to these leads, because they are, the 20 euros for an email is an expensive, it's an expensive purchase. But then,
but I do think for you it makes more. Sorry, I do think for you it makes more sense because you have that whole funnel and system and these sessions set up. I work differently, so then it just becomes a very, and especially because it then impacts your in my feeling, your regular performance. I don't know, but I do think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I feel if there are any more questions, let us know quickly, because I think we're running out of time. Let me check the time. Yeah, it's 17 past 10.
We always say we want to keep it short, but then
we never do, because we like chatting. So next week, what shall we talk about next week, Sebastian? If you have any ideas, Louise or anyone else in the comments, let us know. I still promised you a poll about the time, but we also realized that we kind of blocked our calendars for the 11:30 slots. So we need to see when the next sessions will take place. We'll keep you posted on that, Louise, and the rest of people watching. And so
everyone.
Excuse me.
Now, I was going to say that everyone has wishing a nice weekend to everyone, and we'll be back next week with more stuff, especially especially if it comes from you, then it is more valuable. But don't worry, Liora and I can fill the space with things that we experience in the EU bubble, and that I am pretty sure it will help you in some way.
Yes, and one thing that I didn't touch upon, even though I promised, so maybe that will be next week, is if you have a very broad experience and you do a lot of different things in your job, or you've done a lot of different things, and you don't know what to focus on LinkedIn or generally, or how to position yourself, I think that that deserves its own conversation. Maybe we'll touch about that next week. Even Sebastian struggles with that because he knows so much and he does so much. You do so much, Sebastian. So let's talk about that next week. I have a post coming up about that as well. So follow my channel if you don't already. And then we'll dive into that discussion, because I have a lot of thoughts about that. It also has to do with your DNA and what makes you special. And I'd like to explain how you can figure this out for yourself if you don't want to go deep into that conversation with us. So let's talk about that next week. Thank you for watching, if you watched till the end. And thank you, Sebastian, for another great conversation.
Thank you. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.